Hi everybody, really pleased to be able to show you today a bike that should for most of you require absolutely no introduction. However, we will explain. This beautiful creation is a Ducati 748E. The same shape as the legendary and iconic Ducati 916. This is the last of the 748s. And as you can see there, she's a 2003 03 plate. And in true Mid-Essex Motorcycles fashion, you guessed it, she's a low miler. She's covered just 2,495 miles from new. Absolutely staggering condition. And we're certainly marketing this bike as a collector's piece rather than an everyday machine. So basically the 748E was the replacement for the 748 by Posto. So I guess in some respects she is the entry level model, but nonetheless I don't think there is such thing as an entry level 748 or 916 by today's standards. Highly sought after, and particularly in this condition becoming extremely rare. This bike's only had 2 owners with a full service history, which I'll go through with you in just a moment. And if I take you around to the left hand side of the bike, you can clearly see we've laid out some standard parts as well. So this bike would have started off life from the factory effectively as a by Posto, and you can see the original by Posto seat unit down here, and we can confirm that that's never ever been on the bike. So there's probably some significant value in that piece alone in this condition, but I think the bike really benefits from this beautiful genuine Ducati monoposto seat unit and these stainless steel termies. And I think a Ducati without termies is a bit like strawberries without cream, I guess. Bit of a must-have. You can also see here that we've got the standard exhausts. We've got the pillion pegs, and you can probably see a set of belts there, the cam belts having just been replaced. So for those of you that aren't particularly familiar, the 748E had the last incarnation of the 748cc liquid cooled V-twin. It's called the Testa Bassa engine, which was also used in the Monster S4, I believe. Putting out around about 100 brake horsepower at the back wheel, maybe 95. So this bike by modern standards is not going to set your world on fire from a performance basis. There are obviously significantly faster bikes out there, but again I think this bike is now at the age, it's a modern classic, significantly appreciating in value and very hard to find in this condition. I would suggest that the chances of this bike being used in anger again is quite slim. I'll do some close-ups for you. You can see the rear wheel. She's actually still on her original tyres, we believe, which are Pirelli Dragon Evos. I've no way of actually confirming that, but nonetheless you can see how spotless she is. Down to the exhaust, rear brake master cylinder, clutch cover, no marks at all anywhere on these items, and the heat shield. Now one of the most obvious signs that this is one of the last of the 748s is you can see she's wearing the same bodywork that the 998, which again was the last incarnation of the 916 shape. We've got these what they call slab-sided fairing panels. You'll be familiar, I'm sure, that the early 916s and 748s had an air cutout, an air scoop in the fairing here to allow the hot air from the radiator to escape. And I guess, I don't know for certain, some of you Ducati fans might know more than me, but whether or not it was to do with Ducati improving the cooling ability of their engines, or whether or not it was purely aesthetic, I don't know, but a beautiful looking bike nonetheless. And that hot air now escapes obviously through these grills just adjacent to the frame. Again, I'll do some close-ups on the front. As you can see on the brake discs, the bike's obviously being extremely well stored because there's no rust on the bobbins or corrosion on the brake disc. And is so often the case on Ducatis. These pinch bolts on the Brembo brake calipers there, they often corrode, and they're in absolutely superb original order. As we approach the instrument panels, you can see there the mileage is 2495. So she's just gone through a major service with Moto V. Our friend Glenn Harrison at Moto V Colchester, very experienced Ducati technician, really knows his stuff. So it's basically just had the usual stuff: oil and filter, coolant, brake and clutch fluids, throttle body setup, and of course the mandatory replacement cam belts. And prior to that, she has a full history, which I'll just briefly take you through. I don't normally do this, but I think the nature of this bike is it warrants it. Can get, so we can see that the first service there was done by Ducati London South. That's 601 miles. It was then had an intermediate service at 1700 miles, Dave Robinson Motorcycles. Pro Twins of Godstone at 2226. Parkinson Motorcycles at 2492. And basically up until the most recent service with Moto V at 2495, she was basically kept in dry storage. So just been fully recommissioned with a new MOT as well. Just plonk that down there. Give me a chance to do some close-ups as well. One of the other changes on the 748E, the original Bipostos came with a Showa rear shock and spring assembly. This is a Sachs unit, so I guess that's considered to be a slight downgrade from the Showa, although frankly I think that the nature of this bike is it's unlikely that unless you rode it hard that you'd ever notice any significant difference. And again, just look at the lack of corrosion, if that's the right phrase, to look for the lack of something, but you can see even the exhaust manifold studs are corrosion free, no paint peeling off of the engine casing. It's just an absolute beauty. Now, despite the low mileage, obviously it is 14 years old, and just by being in storage, you know, bikes can get the occasional blemish, and as we like to be up front, again, very, very difficult to spot on the camera, but you can see there's just a tiny little mark on the edge of the right hand mirror there, and again the faintest of, I'm not even sure you can see that on the camera, but the tiniest of little scratches on the tank there that I'm sure those of you with the right contacts and experience could flat that down and polish it out. But I think in many respects it lends itself to being a, you know, an honest and original bike. Okay, let's start her up for you so you can hear those Termi exhausts. Sound from those Termis. Let's give that one more blip. Okay, apologies for the length of the video, but I think when you're dealing with something you know, this desirable, and the fact that we know that inquiries will come from all over the country, we think it's worthwhile doing a long video for this. But we're going to wrap it up now because we are just about to experience some thunderstorms. So thanks for watching. Just to summarise, she's a 2003 Ducati 748E with a monoposto seat unit, Termi exhausts, full service history, a full recommissioning service just carried out, including belts and all fluids. She's covered just 2,495 miles from new, with all standard parts available, and this bike's available at 7,995. I hope you enjoyed the video.